Hi, welcome to Vicky Makes and Builds. Okay, so I've been putting this puzzle off for quite a while, mostly because I've had a lot of other puzzles to do, but I will admit also that I was a little intimidated to start a new Krypt puzzle. Yes, today I am tackling for you the metallic mint Krypt, which is here. So just to explain about Krypt puzzles, just in case you don't know, they're a line of solid colour puzzles that are made by Ravensburger, but not only are they solid colour, they also have a unique cut pattern, which I can best describe as circular meets grid cut. Now, there's lots of different coloured Krypts. I've done two before. So I did the pink one, which is here in front of me. I did the pink one back early last year, and the pink Krypt puzzle is less pieces than the metallic mint. This one has 654 pieces, and it's the same piece cut as the silver one, which I also have here. And I've also done the gradient Krypt, which is this one here, and this is a different cut pattern again, less pieces as well, 631 pieces, and this cut matches the gold Krypt, which I actually just went out and bought about 20 minutes ago from a local shop. So I now have the gold Krypt in my collection, and that matches the gradient Krypt. The metallic mint, which I'm going to do for you today, is also matched up with another Krypt, and that is the black one, which I have here. So not so long ago I would have deemed my Ravensburger Krypt collection complete at this point. However, they have not too long ago released other Krypt puzzles. So they also released fairly recently one called Universe Glow. That is a different cut pattern again, and it's 881 pieces, so quite a lot of pieces there. And I have actually also purchased this puzzle about half an hour ago off Amazon, so I should be getting that sometime next week. I'm looking forward to it, but it does look tough. It really does look like a tough one. Now, it's one of the few Krypts that is not solid colour. The gradient is obviously not a solid colour. It's close enough though. It's basically just kind of has stars on it, but for the most part it's black. But the other thing that Ravensburger have done recently with the Krypts is they have released a line of Krypts that you can customize yourself, and you can basically have whatever color on it that you want. It appears as though the cut pattern that you get is the same as the gradient and the gold cut pattern. It comes in 631 pieces. I don't know if at any point they will allow you to order different cut patterns. I'm not sure if that's something for the future. I don't know, just an idea. But you can get it in whatever colour you can think of, to be honest. So that's really good, and I would like to get one of those in the future. I haven't ordered one of those, but I would like to get one of those in the future when I can decide what colour I would like. So that's kind of a brief overview of Krypt puzzles. Another thing about these Krypt puzzles is that they all come with a puzzle guide. Now, this one is no exception. It came with a guide, which is here, and the guide comes in a sealed envelope. It is not opened. Now, I managed to do the pink Krypt puzzle without the guide. It was very, very tough, but I did manage it. So my goal with this Krypt puzzle is to do the same thing, try and build it without having to use the guide. All it really is just a picture of the layout of the pieces, because each piece is unique. So you can, if you find that you're doing a Krypt and you really struggle with it, you can look at the guide, and if, you know, you pick out a piece, you can look and see where the piece goes. I would imagine that's still quite a time-consuming thing, but it can help you along if there's a bit of a struggle with it. So that's my goal. Do you think I can do it? Maybe before you watch the rest of the video, you can make a comment below and let me know if you think that I can manage this without the guide. We'll find out soon enough, but before we do, a quick word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Brilliant. Brilliant.org is the best way to learn maths and computer science interactively. So, when I decided to do this Krypt puzzle, and having done one before, I knew that I was going to need all of the strategies, powers of observation, and brain training that I could muster to complete it without the guide. And that is why I am excited about today's sponsor. Brilliant.org has something for every kind of learner. Whether you're a student looking to get a bit of extra help with your schoolwork, or you're a budding computer scientist wanting to get ahead in your career. Or maybe you are a lifelong learner like me. I'm 40 now. I've done school, I've done university, but I have never stopped learning and keeping my brain active. This is also a huge reason that I love puzzles. There can be no doubt about the positive effect they have on the brain. What I love about Brilliant is how visual it all is. There aren't screes and screes of words and bland facts to trawl through. It's really interactive, which makes the learning process all the more immersive and fun. Concepts that I've struggled to grasp in the past become so much easier to digest when you can see them in action. Brilliant also has these great bonus puzzles that I've found, which I've been using to really help to hone my brain and my observation skills in order to help me with this solid colour puzzle that I'm about to build. And there's so much to choose from at whatever difficulty level that you choose. So I have an offer for you. You can try Brilliant for free for 30 days at brilliant.org/Vicky. And in addition, the first 200 people to sign up will receive 20% off Brilliant's annual premium subscription. You will find a link in my description below, so why not give it a try? And now let's get back to the metallic mint crypt. Right, okay, so I'm not going to do a massively in-depth talk about the pieces. However, I do think that we should take a moment to have a look at... Hello, Grace. I forgot you were there. He's sitting on my windowsill behind the curtains. Okay, well, you're here now. I do think that we should have a look at the weird and wacky shapes that I'm going to be met with when I start to do this puzzle. So we'll have a quick look at those and then I will make a start, or at least try to. Oh, kind of nervous about this, I have to say. Okay, so there's the lid off. And here underneath the pieces is the guide for the puzzle. Right, I'm gonna just open this bag up and pour out these pieces. I love the colour of this puzzle. You can see why it's called metallic mint. It's kind of a sheen to them, but like a nice metallic kind of sheen, not a glossy sheen that's going to annoy me, I don't think, or at least I hope not, under these lights. So let's have a rummage. Get the puzzle dust going. Okay, so here we go. Now, we've got very obvious edge pieces, and I'm assuming that's an edge. I don't know if there will be any false edges, because you do sometimes get false edges in circular puzzles. And whilst the Krypt puzzle is overall a rectangular puzzle, there are circular shapes within the puzzle itself. And that tends to be across the board for all the Krypts. There's kind of like a pattern of circles and straight lines. And that is going to help me, I hope. So whether there'll be some false edges on, you know, some of the circular pieces, I am not sure. One thing that does hit you as soon as you open this puzzle is that there are a lot of large pieces. And that might be something else that helps when I come to build this, because, like, for example, on the inside of the circle, you tend to have maybe slightly smaller, kind of like narrower pieces, whereas there's the middle. I found the middle, so that's the only real kind of circular one. So that's a good start. And, you know, these triangular pieces will be sort of at junctures where the circle meets the straight lines. So you can gain clues from the shapes, and you can gain clues from the sizes of these pieces. Having done the pink Krypt, I kind of feel a little more in the know about what to expect. Like, these smaller pieces, I suspect, will either be on the inside of one of the circles, or they might possibly be in the corners, maybe, I'm not sure. We've got kind of tall edge pieces as well as short edge pieces, so to guess there'll be one type going along the sides and one type going along the tops and bottoms. So there's nothing completely throwing me here initially. Now this will obviously have a different pattern to the... Grace. He keeps spotting a fly I think, that's flown in. We've had some very hot weather here, so the windows are open and flies are getting in, and of course the cat goes a little bit crazy when he can see one. The tail starts swishing. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes, so I know the patterns are different for the Krypt. I have a rough idea of the pattern that this one has, which is the only clue I'm going to really give myself. And that's really just from seeing pictures of the puzzle on things like Instagram, and also on the box itself you can see there are little clues as to how it's gonna go. So there's obviously a circle in the middle. I think that this one, the circle extends out right to the edge, but only in certain areas. And so that's really the only clue I'm going to allow myself when I start this puzzle. So I really think I'm going to need to just start sorting these pieces. So I'm going to stop talking at that, and I'm going to just make a start on this puzzle. Yeah, oh gosh, wish me luck. So I'm going to deal with these first. These are all the different edges. I've even sorted within the edges. So these are candidates for the corners. However, there are 5 of them. So if I had to guess, I suspect that that might perhaps be not a corner, but you can see how it might possibly be. So they're over there. These are edge pieces that are tall. These are edge pieces that are a bit shorter. These are also short edge pieces, but they're quite wide. Then we've got these edge pieces, which are ones that have like a lean to them. Oh, they're kind of a bit more triangular in shape. So they'll be around about the areas where the straight lines meet the circles. So that's all the edge pieces there. Might possibly be false edges, not sure. This is quite a big pile. These are small pieces and mostly a bit more square. So there's nothing really elongated about them or strange. They're just a bit more standard and a bit more square. Now, there might possibly be in this pile some pieces that go in the circular areas. Because they're small, it's maybe difficult to discern a curve to them. But I would say largely these will go in wherever, you know, the areas of like grid, kind of more grid cut stuff. But I suspect I might be delving in and out of these when I deal with this pile here, which is the definitely circular pieces. There's no doubt about it. There's a definite curve to these. You can see it very clearly. And they're also a little shorter. That's the middle. So they're not as wide as opposed to, say, pieces over here where they also have a curve to them, but they're a lot more chunky. So these will be more on the outside of the circle. So these are your inside of the circle pieces. Those ones there are more your outside of the circle pieces. These pieces here are more like these pieces in the sense that they're a standard shape, but they're just a lot bigger. Some of these might be circle pieces, might be a slight curve to them that I've just not really been able to kind of discern. But this is what I'm meaning by, you know, I think there'll be overlap where I'm dipping in and out of other piles because I might have perhaps missorted them. It's hard to tell, particularly when they're all the same colour. These pieces here, and I think this is the last pile, are pieces where they're a bit more triangular as a general rule, but not always. But it's pieces where there's obviously some kind of meeting between a circular section and a straight section. So you've got these funny angles going on. That one's a bit more straight, but you can see this little tip here that's sticking up. So that'll maybe go in these areas. There you've got a wee kind of zigzag line in that one. So they're a bit more oddly shaped. So that's it. That's the sorting I've done. As I say, I might need to get more detailed with it, but not right now. I'm going to start the puzzle now, and I'm definitely starting with the edge pieces and then following that up with these inner circle pieces. And that is exactly what I did with the pink Krypt as well. So, you know, that's good. There's kind of a pattern I can work with here. one that I know that has worked in the past, so that gives me some confidence, but we'll see how it goes and we'll get started on this metallic mint Krypt puzzle. Okay, so that was quite tough, and I think the reason it was tough was because of this mixture of straight edge pieces with these wonky edge pieces. Now, some of them went together pretty obviously, like these ones, but you have got some like this here that just kind of just go beside each other, but they don't connect as yet. I remember that being the case with the Krypt gradient, and it was slightly frustrating because I was always knocking them out of place. So I'm hopeful that I won't keep doing that with this. And it is only in a couple of places around the edge. Top and bottom were by far the easiest because you could use these like where the prong was placed on the side of the piece to find the right one. And also some of the prongs in this puzzle are really quite big, like that one. So you could use that as well to help identify the right piece. So they were easy. That's just one whole straight line of straight pieces. This is slightly different. This kind of blends into these pieces. And then these ones were, it was obvious all these smaller ones went together. So, you know, tricky in places, but manageable. I hope I've got these pieces in the right place. It's possible that some of these that are just sitting next to each other might not be right, but it looks okay at the moment, so I'm going to leave it there. These I think must be false edges, so I've just put those to one side. And now I'm going to move over to this pile here, which is the inner circle pieces. Starting with the center and just attempting to work my way out, and then just taking it from there. So here goes. Right, so I've been going really well on this circle, but I'm now starting to slow down as I get further out, and I'm actually starting to find bits where the circle is straightening out, and I'm using all these kind of wonky, funny shaped pieces. So I've got a little bit of that happening here. I suspect there might be some that needs to happen down here. I'm really struggling to find that bit there, which is frustrating me a little, but it's kind of slowing me down to the point where I'm thinking I might move on to another wee bit of the puzzle. I also think I'm going to turn this around because it's actually, I don't know if this is the right way up or not, or at least the way up it shows on the box. I'm trying not to look too closely at the box because I don't want to get, you know, more hints. I think just a rough idea of the pattern is helping me a lot, but based on the border being this way up, and the fact that these are straightening out pretty quickly, you've got these straight lines at the side. These are the kind of the smaller edge pieces, and I think they might ultimately meet up with these lines here. So I am going to hazard a guess, and I am going to say that this bit probably goes that way. I think somewhere in the middle. around about there. So I'm going to put it there and leave it at that for now. And I'm going to start to try and work on these corner areas, particularly where there's a circle meet in the corner. So there and also here. And the reason I'm doing those pieces is because you can see these pieces are really quite big. And I only really have 2 piles of pieces with large pieces in them. And that is these ones here, which are the large kind of curvy pieces. And also these ones here, which are not so curvy, but are large. So because I've only got the 2 piles, I mean, there's a few in here, but because I've only got the 2 piles really that I have to look at, I think I'm going to try and just fill out these corners a little bit, looking for the specific shapes. And what that'll also do is get this edge together so that it's not constantly getting bashed and shifted about, which is quite frustrating. I keep catching it with my elbow and things. So if I can get those pieces so that it's stuck together, aside from just being beside each other like that, that would also be really handy. So I'm going to kind of move away from the circle, work on these corners, and then just take it from there. How long I'll be doing that for, I don't know. Depends how long I'm trawling through these pieces. So I may go back and forth, but that is my plan just now. Right, this is really coming together now. The circle is getting bigger a wee bit at a time, but I'm getting to kind of smaller pieces now, which I still have quite a lot of. I've got all these and those, and then a bunch in the box underneath. So I'm trying to avoid the ones where I've still got lots of the pieces left and narrow down the ones where I don't have as many left. The only thing is, I'm moving them around a lot and it's starting to get a bit messy. So I think I'm going to have to do some organising at some point pretty soon. But what I have found happening is, basically with these outer edges, the pieces are very big. So I've been finding that it's easier to find them because they're really wide. They've got these long sections and you can kind of pick them out more easily. So I've really been able to get these bits filled in, pieces like that, and like that, pieces like that. And the same up here, although the circle is only kind of in the corner of that side, whereas it kind of extends all the way down this side. So this side's filling out really nicely. I think I've got this middle circle the right way around. So I think at some point this bit extending out is going to meet here. But what I ended up actually doing was I had a whole bunch of pieces like this where you have an in and an out on the same side, or 2 outs or 2 ins or whatever. And I had pieces like this where it was, again, big wide pieces. And I started to realise that a lot of these pieces went together and they were kind of building up in rows along here. And then I realised that some of the rows actually went next to each other. So I've got this whole chunk coming together outside of the puzzle. But I think I have actually just discovered where this bit goes. I think this bit actually goes here and attaches onto the end of there. But before I put that on, I'm gonna have to tidy all this up because there's too many other pieces in the way. So I'm really just trying to just get pieces in wherever I can. There's no real main strategy. Wherever I see them and can put them together, that's what I'm doing, whether it's outside the puzzle or inside the puzzle. The more pieces I get in this puzzle, the more it narrows down all of the others, and I can move along a little bit faster. I suspect this bottom right corner here, where the pieces are starting to get smaller, you can see the smaller edge pieces there. I suspect that bit is going to take the longest because the pieces are more of a standard shape. There's less kind of differentiation between them, and it's probably going to be quite a lot of just testing each one in the gaps. But I'm not going to tackle that bit yet. I'm really going to try and finish off these circular pieces as much as I can until I can link this center circle to the outside edges. And then when I've got them right down, I can then just focus on these little ones and finish this puzzle off. So I've done it! Yay! I feel such a sense of achievement. So in case you hadn't already worked it out, I managed to do it without the guide. I'm so pleased I managed to do it without the guide. I had actually heard that this was one of the harder cut patterns of the Krypt, but in fact I found this one easier to do than the pink Krypt. But there could be a couple of reasons for that. So first of all, the pink Krypt was my first Krypt that I'd ever done, and by the time I've come to do this one, I've done 2 Krypts before, so I do have some familiarity with it, with the way the circles are meeting the lines and things like that. Obviously the patterns aren't quite the same, but I do think that a knowledge of that has helped me coming into this puzzle. And not only that, but the way this Krypt is laid out, the circle, in the pink Krypt, the circle is just in the middle. It goes up to the top edge and the bottom edge, but then it doesn't go any further than that. This one goes way out, all the way to the top right and the bottom left corner. So on the extreme outer edges of the circle, you've got lots and lots of really quite big pieces. And I found that the big pieces helped me a lot to put them in. So I felt like this one was just actually a wee bit easier to do. The hardest part, I would say, of this one is the areas of grid cut in the bottom right and also the top middle. And really, that was only more difficult and only took me slightly longer because they were all just standard shape pieces, all the same colour, and it came down ultimately to shape sorting and just testing. And that's, I mean, it's more laborious really than it is hard, because eventually you do get the right piece, and the sections weren't so big that it was, you know, too bad. And by the time I'd reached those points, because I did those areas last, by the time I'd reached those points, I knew I was going to manage it without the guide, and I just felt really good, you know. I felt a sense of achievement even before I'd finished the puzzle, so it spurred me on to finish it, and I didn't feel like it was a chore really. I actually really enjoyed it. Again, like with the pink Krypt going into it, it was my first solid colour puzzle, and I thought, God, I'm probably going to really hate this, but I didn't. I really didn't. I actually really loved it, and the same with this one. So yeah, so pleased, really pleased. In terms of the pieces, I've done plenty of Ravensburgers on this channel before. However, I did find a disappointing amount of bent pieces in this puzzle. I've taken a few photos, which I will put up for you. There were several bent prongs, some where the surface was peeling up just a little bit. There was one where it was slightly bent in the middle of the piece. And I just, when I was sorting the pieces, I kept finding one after the other, and I was like, oh, this is really quite disappointing. Because it kind of stands out when you're looking at a puzzle like this, which is solid colour, there's no other detail on it. You, like a detailed puzzle, you might miss it, but when you're looking at a Krypt, you can kind of see sometimes where the bent pieces were. So I was just a little bit disappointed by that. Usual tons of Ravensburger puzzle dust, that goes without saying generally. I don't think I've ever done a Ravensburger without loads of dust. Again, I've said this before, it doesn't bother me particularly, and it wasn't really a huge deal with this puzzle, but I know it does bother some people. So yeah, there was a fair bit of dust, but otherwise I loved this puzzle, and I absolutely love the colour. I think it's beautiful colour. I really do. I don't know what colour I would go for if I was going to get my own custom Krypt. I think they've come out with some lovely colours already, but I don't, maybe a purple one or something like that. I don't know. But I thought this metallic mint was gorgeous. Really, really, really nice. So I'm going to try, I think, and keep this puzzle together, but I don't want to tape it because with this puzzle sharing cut patterns with other colours, and the same with the other Krypt puzzles, I think it would be really fun to play around with the pieces a bit. And now I've kind of built a couple of Krypt puzzles, I can start to change them about, you know, and see what patterns I can make and things like that, and have a little play with them. So I think I'm going to keep this puzzle together, maybe stack it up in the box in sections or something. The only other thing I wanted to mention here was the time it took me. Now again, I did not time myself, however, so I've worked this out from the time-lapse footage. So this puzzle took me roughly 14 hours and 15 minutes. Now, I do think that that is a slight overestimation because I'm using the footage to gauge the time. It's not as accurate, and often the footage will continue playing on or recording when I stop the puzzle to do something else. So it might be one of my kids has come in to talk to me, or I'm doing some close-up shots or something for the video. So I think that's slightly overestimated, but roughly it took me 14 hours and 15 minutes. The Krypt gradient took me a lot less time. I actually did that video as a how quickly can I do it sort of video, so I have a very accurate time on that one. That one took me, now let me just check, 2 hours and 43 minutes and 37 seconds. So that one, I mean, it's a gradient, it's not solid colour, so it was easier to do, but that one took me 2 hours and 43 minutes. And the pink, I was quite surprised at this time. It was a little bit more accurate than the metallic mint again. I didn't use my timer, but I was taking kind of times as I was doing it. I couldn't remember how long it took me, but when I looked, it actually took me 11.5 hours, which surprised me because I honestly, genuinely, that's like 3 hours faster than this puzzle, but genuinely I felt like this puzzle was easier. I really did. I mean, it was a while ago that I did the pink, so maybe I'm remembering wrong, I don't know, but I did feel like this one was easier, but it obviously took me longer to do. So, I mean, maybe it's possible that the areas where I was shape sorting and, you know, just really looking for the right piece. It's possible that that is a factor that slowed me right down. I'm not entirely certain. But anyway, those were my times on the 3 crypts that I have done so far. So yeah, there we go. That's everything I had to say about the puzzle. If you have any other questions about it or would like to know anything else, then please do leave a comment and let me know. And in the meantime, I will say thank you so much for watching. If you loved the video, then please give a like and subscribe to the channel if you aren't subscribed already. And I will say to you just now, happy puzzling, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!